Good afternoon, ma. Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're welcome, ma. Yes, ma.
Thank you.
We're still waiting for the students to arrive, as well as other guest speakers now.
Okay.
Yes, ma. Good afternoon, sir. You're welcome, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Felix, Augustine. Good afternoon, Mr. Raymond Emokpae.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. You're welcome, sir. We are still waiting for the students to arrive, and we'll soon commence. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Raymond. No, sorry, Mr. Moses James.
So, sorry, I was at the business.
You're welcome.
So I stepped out, so I wasn't sure which of the
Okay.
segment I was. So I had to just come back now. Sorry.
No problem, no problem. We are actually going to wait for, I think, maybe 10 minutes. The students aren't available at the moment, so I think they are all coming in. So we'll just wait a while and then we'll begin.
So basically, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, you're right where you're supposed to be. I'm very sorry. Yes. Thank you very much.
Where's Michael? I thought I saw Michael just now. That's Michael. What's up, Michael? What's up, Michael? How you doing? Where's Raymond too? I thought I saw Raymond. Michael, did you see Raymond? You know, there's this.
Yeah, I saw him earlier. He's still somewhere.
There's this thing when they say virtual policy, because as important as physical world is, seem like actually physical. So, and we're still in some mode. That's cool. So we. Well, let's not wait and not say anything. Let's have conversations while we wait. Like, what do you guys think? Let's just talk.
Good morning, Mr. Moses,
Good morning,
Mr.
ma.
Michael,
architecture, should we talk about architecture, the beauty or the fun, or the fact that architecture
We're
is
actually supposed to have a meet and greet, so I think we should get acquainted.
Yes, I think that can go on already. I'm trying to get through to Mrs. Olare.
Okay.
So let me go first.
Mr.
Right?
Moses, so
Okay.
I don't know your I don't know, your camera says sideways, so I'm looking at you like sideways.
Oh, really? Like, okay.
I don't know if it's just me or if it's for everybody. Yeah, that's it. It's right now. So good morning. My name is Dr. Odu, Tenigbade Odu. I am an estate surveyor and valuer, first of all, and then I'm a lecturer. I lecture in Department of Estate Management, Yaba College of Technology, and I'm also an assistant lecturer at University of Lagos, Department of Estate Management. I am also a green buildings expert, so I'm certified by Edge Green Buildings as a green building expert. So I'm also very interested in environmental sustainability in the built environment.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. So I'll go next. My name is Moses James.
Yes,
I did architecture in Yaba Tech, and at the moment,
Can you speak a little louder?
Friends.
Can you speak a little louder?
Yeah, exactly.
Make clear.
Yes,
You
can actually hear you
Can
very
you speak a
clearly.
little louder?
My name
Yes.
is Moses James. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. So I did architecture in Yaba 2019. I actually finished 2019. But for me, architecture is not just a profession. It has always been a way of life. So I exude architecture. I try to connect architecture aside from buildings, but also spaces and environments and people and relationships and all. So it has driven me into learning constantly without having to be under any system. So like learning and cutting across different professions, business, construction, management, and all. So I've always been a learner. I've always loved where you learn and what it should be. So knowledge is makes that life. So I try to grow. So basically, we have a company that we do just in. Also, we get involved in the business of architecture. We get involved in the relationship that exists between architecture, different institutions, and different what I call it now, parts of life. And they'll have an amazing team. So basically, as a person, I learn and then keep learning and not stop learning. That's basically the summary of Mrs. James. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone. I think Grace, who is supposed to be anchoring this session, dropped off. She probably has network issues. So I'm wondering, can I know that Mr. James just spoke. Can we have somebody else just take over, please?
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Okikiolu.
Hello, Mike.
I'm a graduate of Yaba building. So I've been in a building environment for a while now, to 7 years or so. So I've learned the integral parts and the construction processes. I've learned the practical part, the theoretical part. So I've been in the construction industry for a while now. I've actually been in the real estate industry as well, because my passion is construction, and so the business part of the construction is the real estate. So I'm a real estate person and I'm a construction person. Yeah, basically that's a little bit about me. Thank you.
Please, can Dr. Odu take, can you be next to speak? I don't know if you've, Grace has come back on, but.
I spoke first. I don't know if you were here when
Okay. I probably missed that. Sorry about that. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. I'm very sorry. I really had an issue with my network. That's the reason for that's the reason why I was out. Okay, so I think we have a couple of people here already. Once again, you're welcome. I'm sorry, I really wasn't able to get a lot to hear a lot from us during the meet and greet, but I think we can start now. I am Grace Aderinwale. I'm a communicator by profession, and you're welcome to today's career fair. It's centered on saving a child, saving the nation, making sure that children understand, or should I say students now, understand what is expected of them from the labor market, basically. So we are looking at it from the perspective of architecture. Now, I think most of the children here are vying for job opportunities in the field of architecture. And I don't know, let me start. If you are a student, please can you raise your hand using the raise hand emoji? If you can hear me. Hello, Oluwanifemi Dada. You're welcome. Please put on your microphone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, you're welcome. So I would like you to introduce yourself. Are you the only student? I don't think Oluwanifemi is the only student here. If you are a student in GS 1, 2, 3, 4, sorry, GS 1, 2, 3, SS 1, 2, 3, please raise your hand. I guess apparently it's the only one who is available at the moment. That is fine. Okay, so Oluwanifemi Dada, please put on your microphone. Thank you very much. Okay, so I want you to introduce yourself, your name, your class, your school, and then why exactly it is you want, and then tell us rather why exactly it is you decided to attend this fair today. Why exactly you chose to be in the architecture department or architecture classroom.
My name is Oluwanifemi Dada. I'm in SS3.
Okay.
I attend Aslog College Ojodu.
All right.
I attended this class to gain more knowledge on building, construction, and how how they measure, how they construct buildings and other movements like that.
Okay, thank you very much. So what do you want to be in future? An architect, a um, site engineer? What exactly do you want to do?
Actually, what I actually want to be in future is a doctor.
You're welcome. Anyway, it's a good opportunity for you to learn something also, and you might see at the end of the day that you really have a lot of skills in architecture. So welcome. Okay, since we have just one student for now, I think I'll go straight to introducing once again very briefly our guest. So I'm going to start by introducing Dr. Tenigbade Odu. She is a lecturer. Basically, she's already introduced herself as a lecturer from the Department of Estate Management and Valuation. Apparently, she works in Yaba Tech and also in Unilag. She's also an edge expert based on what I heard. I wasn't really able to hear what edge is all about, but then I guess I will have an opportunity to ask later. And I know she has a background in real estate and appraisal, rather, and management. You're welcome, Ma. Thank you so much for being able to come. Thank you very much, Ma. Very quickly, I'm also going to Mr. Augustine Felix. He is a plumbing engineer. I don't really know what plumbing engineering is all about, so I'm really hoping to learn a lot from him today on what plumbing engineering is. He works in Plumbers World. He's a skilled professional, and that's very sure. I'm 100% sure of that. And I really hope to learn a lot about plumbing engineering as relates to architecture or construction. Next among our guests is Mr. Raymond Emokpae. He's also an architect. He has skills in architectural design, drawing, site supervision, interior construction, and visualizing. Thank you very much, sir. I'm very sorry. Thank you, Mr. Augustine Felix, and thank you, Mr. Raymond Emokpae, for making it today. Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you, sir. The next guest we have here is Mr. Moses James. He is the principal director of JMoss Architecture. He is skilled in creative. He's a skilled and creative individual. Rather, he has a driving force towards project management. And I think one thing I know is that he happens to find the link between music and architecture. You're welcome, sir. Also, I think finally we have Mr. Okikiolu Michael. He's a site engineer and construction officer, and he's also a professional in construction. You're welcome. Thank you very much to every one of our guest speakers here. God bless you. I really would appreciate our responses. Thank you very much. Okay, so I just want to confirm. Okay, thank you very much. Temi Jokodola, are you also a student? Please put on your mic. Temi Jokodola. I can see your hand is raised. So I just want to confirm if you are also a student. Please put on your microphone.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so I just want to know who you are, just very short and brief, since we don't really have many people at the moment. So let's just know the little people that we know. Please tell us your name, your class, whatever class you're in, your school, and then tell us what is your future ambition or what career path you intend to plow.
My name is Aderinwale. I'm in SS1 and I would like
Your mic is turned off. You're in SS1. What's the name of your school? Wow.
The name of my school is Shield.
Wow. Okay, so I guess that could be a problem from his end. All right, no problem. Thank you very much. Okay, so I think since we have begun, I will be starting by asking a couple of just very easy questions that I'll just be asking randomly. I want to start with Dr. Tenigbade. Please, can you tell us exactly what your profession entails? What exactly makes up the profession?
Okay, thank you. Once again, thanks for having me. So, as I said earlier, I'm an estate surveyor and valuer. So basically, there's something called that when you're classifying the environments, you say that you classify the environment into is the natural environment and there's the built environment. So all the professionals that you have here today, we are all professionals working in the built environment. So built environment is basically the opposite of the natural environment. Like, natural environment is the environment the way God created it. The built environment is, however, the environment as developed by man. So all the systems that make up the way we live, the spaces that we use, our buildings, our roads, all that makes up our built environment. So we, the professionals here today, are those that work or consult in the built environment. Basically, we're talking of buildings and developments. So as an estate surveyor and valuer, my job is my work is actually estate management. So what I do is manage the process of property from the point of development, sourcing a property for development to the point of the time it's being developed. So after it is being developed, we manage if it's a property to be sold, we're in charge of management of that building. If it is one that you want to live in, if it's going to be owner occupied, where the owner is going to stay in it, we are always involved in that process. It's either you want to sell the property, you want to lease out the property, you need someone to manage the property, anything that has to do with property, we're always involved with the process. You want to appraise it, you want to know how much it is worth, you want to get a loan, and somebody needs to tell you how much a property is worth, is the work of the estate surveyor and valuer. So anything that has to do with property, usually, we are always in the process. Even when the others are working, we're always supposed to be in the process at one point or the other. So that's the basic, that's basically what I do, or what my job entails as an estate surveyor and valuer. But as a lecturer, my job is to teach people how to become estate surveyors and valuers. Yeah.
All right, Ma. Thank you very much, Ma. But why exactly did you decide to go into such a profession? I mean, is it not, why did you decide all of a sudden that of all the professions you felt that this was just one profession you could handle?
Okay, thank you. That's an interesting question because, like many young people, I got into estate management accidentally. Before I went into study the course, I'm not sure I knew what estate management was. So for me, it was a peculiar case of I wasn't getting admission for. So I'm one of those people that wasn't clear early in life what they wanted to do. Some people will tell you that from the time they were small, they knew they wanted to be a doctor, lawyer. I wasn't like that. I wasn't very, very clear of what I wanted to do. But one thing I knew was that I liked the environment. So I think I took an interest in geography, anything location, anything about the environment, I liked it. So when time came to get admission, and I wasn't getting, of course, while I was tossing myself here and there, I said I wanted to do accountancy, but I didn't get admission for accountancy. And they said, okay, for this your result, you can actually do estate management. Of course, I was tired of staying at home at the time. So I said, okay, I'll do estate management. I had no clue what it was, But then I got into the program. I found I liked it. I actually really enjoyed it. And yeah, since then, I just followed through till, I studied it to the highest level.
Explain something. You help us with the problems that we face is the fact that many students do not exactly know what we want to do after we are through with our very first with secondary school, or we just have an idea of, yeah, these are the things we like, but we don't know exactly where we are going to end up. And that's one of the reasons why we have a fair like this. So people actually see that this is the ability I have, or these are my skills, and these are the things I know, or these are things I like. And I can actually, I think this is where I can fit. And when I come out and when I get to school, I gain the knowledge and the education, I can actually become someone doing something I like, not just because of the pay alone. Thank you so much, Ma, for that. I'm also going to be asking Mr. Augustine Felix. So please tell us about his profession. I feel very interested in that because I kind of have a bit of confusion with what is the difference between being a plumber and the plumbing engineering. I kind of don't know. Are they the same? Are they different? So I just want to ask, amongst other things you're going to say anyway, so please help me understand what exactly does plumbing engineering entail, and then how exactly, what made you to decide plumbing engineering of all the professions?
Okay. Can you hear me, please? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, we can.
Hello. Okay. Let me introduce myself first. Augustine Felix is my name once again. I'm a graduate of Heritage Polytechnic, Akwa Ibom State, and also a graduate of Legacy University, Anambra State. So I'm also a certified a digital marketer, and also a Prince 2 project manager. I'm doing a lot of engaging. I'm also digital marketing strategist at Adasa Empowerment and Support Center. So normally, or should I say, I have background in science, but I studied business administration. As I said earlier, I studied business administration at the Polytechnic and even at the university level. But at the O level, I studied science. I studied science, so it was let me say, the situation of things that prompted me to studying another thing. I wanted to study petroleum engineering, but because of the situation of things, the cost of how to go about it, I couldn't afford money. There was no help. No one to run to. And immediately I finished my O level, then I had to, the normal way now, go and train. We go and teach in one primary school or secondary school just to get at least one change now. So I tutored them for like 2 months, and I was giving 5,000 naira for a month. And when I used the money to buy something, so I was able to only buy a trouser and a shirt. So, and I was like, is this the same money? Is this the money I will use to sponsor myself in studying petroleum engineering? So that was why I just ended that. I just ended that career. So anything petroleum engineering is off my way. So that was why I decided, okay, because of that, what should I do? I still need to go to university. So I had to go and learn the work as an apprentice. So how I started, that was how I started, and I was able to finance myself throughout the polytechnic and the university level. Can you hear me?
I don't know.
Hello?
We lost them already. Let me see.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you,
Hello?
sir. I can hear you,
Okay,
sir.
so I said that is how I was able to come up with plumbing itself. And I've worked with two companies before I was able to establish Plumbers World.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, sir. So the question, I would like to know, what exactly does plumbing engineering entail? What exactly does it cover?
Plumbing engineering covers anything about water, anything construction of water, supplying water to the house, water treatment, borehole, anything that entails water is plumbing engineering. Anything water, that is what the plumbing engineering.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay, sir, that's very, very brief, and I think I understand very perfectly. I hope every other person that needs to be here and every other student understands what plumbing engineering is, if you were just like me and you never knew. Okay, so I'm going to be moving to Mr. Moses James. It's popped up on my screen. Okay, sir, please, what exactly does architecture entail? I mean, I've had the idea that if you can draw, you can be an architect. If you know how to draw very well, you can do architecture. And then I just used to think that the job was just draw. And I just want to know, is that what exactly does architecture entail? And then why exactly did you decide to do architecture?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon once again. So I would leave some part of this question about architecture and all for Raymond to also speak about and elaborate, because it's interesting if you're building a company and you have two architects, like two persons that did architecture in the company. It makes it more interesting. But architecture to me has always been a lifestyle. Like way back, if I remember when I was in senior secondary school, I went to Oregon Senior High School, and then I remember paying attention in technical drawing, and my technical drawing teacher was always keen to me paying attention to the plans and design flow and functionality and all. But then I didn't have enough time I didn't have enough, I would say, time now to pay. I couldn't pay enough time to learning technical drawing, because at that time when I was in senior secondary school, I was the senior preferred boy. I was the fellowship, I was the president of the Christian Fellowship. I was the vice president of Red Cross Association. I was, at the same time, I was, what again now? I was the PRO for Interact Club of Oregon. And I had all these positions, I would say, and then I still have to also pay attention to my studies, because I can't explain to anyone that, okay, I was representing the school, I was busy doing this, I have to. And I remember the first time I did my well, I was going to write my WAEC, then I couldn't afford GCE, so I had to like pay all my attention to WAEC, and then thank God it came out well, because it came out like I had all I needed to have, and then I scaled through that. But then I learned one vital lesson, that if, as a leader, when you get involved in too many positions, you get distracted in solving the actual problems, because there was so much distraction. But then, of course, I also have to learn. That was my primary responsibility in the school, to learn. But then I was overwhelmed. So I then make up my mind not to like receive, or even if there's so many incentives attached to positions, that no, like, let me just be and pay attention to what is important and necessary. So bringing that to architecture, when I did my ND in Federal Polytechnic, BIDA, before I did my ND, I started working with architects and interior designers, and then I know how I weld, I do furniture, I paint, I have so many practical skills. Then we call it hustling. So in the industry of architecture, I love the local, when you have to combine the different skills that made up the industry, when it comes to construction, when it comes to design, plumbing, electrical, like I wire my place myself. I do like basically the nitty gritty of the basic skills. I got to learn them. So after my end, then I started working, and then I remember going for HND then was a tough one, because I would wanted to rather go out of the country to do architecture, because all my time after my ND I was working with Interior Living. It's a company run by Fisaya, and then there were so many books, amazing books. So all my time doing my IT, I was busy reading architectural books that I couldn't afford. So I spend more time when I literally go to the office as an IT student, and I have a library in the office as an IT student with architectural books. So I did architecture. So I had access to amazing books. I have access to the practical. I have access to welding. So I get pay more attention to architecture that is beyond building and execution. Then I fell in love with the environment, with plants, with I saw the relationship that exists between all these entities that is not beyond building. But then it's as complex as architecture is, there is a process that is designed for creators. This is why architects used to call themselves creators, because, for example, if you're an architect and you want to, if a client approaches you that he wants to design a Coca-Cola factory. Now, what that means is not just designing a Coca-Cola factory, like you have to understand the mechanics, like the things, the sizes, the space that are going to be, the energy they consume. Like there's so many things you have to consider that is beyond the design process. That then when you bring it to relationship with people and the environment, you also see architecture of the space, the express how people relate to each other and the environment and all. And I remember when I was handling one, what really made me see my drive and understood my purpose in the architecture industry was I was handling a project at Bella Vista apartment in Banana Island after my ND. It was the 23rd floor. The client then was a staff of McKinsey. I think his name is Felix then. The living room was it's about, like, the standard room is, most people say 3 by 3. Now the living room of this expatriate was like 15 by 11, if I remember. It was very big, like, was very big. Of course, you see the sea, the lagoon from his balcony. And then his master's room, very big, elaborate, and the walk-in closet and all. But then the service staircase, the service room that is just behind the kitchen is as small as 1.5 by 1.5. Like 1.5 is like if I stretch my hands completely and then add one more of my arm, that's about like 1.5 by 150. Now that small space is where the kitchen, the nanny, and the cook, that's where they live to take care of the boss. So automatically, like, the design of that space had make this two human beings, the boss and the people providing the service, feel one inferior the other, because these 3 people, the nanny, the cook, and the driver, live in that space. So, and then in the course of working in the estate, we heard about one boss being killed by the driver one day. So you could see how the psychology of living in that small space could affect the relationship with the boss and how they go about. So that's another aspect. So architecture has been, to me, a way of life, that when you now bring the business of architecture into it, it's quite amazing that it's beyond building and structures, but the environment.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I've heard a lot about architecture already from you. So I will just quickly go to Mr. Raymond Emokpae, and I would ask him to just briefly tell me, or tell everyone here, the different areas to architecture, because I'm sure there are different areas. I know you've already discussed already. I think Mr. James has already spoken a lot about the idea of architecture and the things that it covers. So I just want to see the different areas that might exist, because I believe to every profession, there are usually different areas. Even for professions like mass communication, you might say one person is a journalist, another is a reporter, but then we are all just doing the same thing of producing news, but then we have different tasks. So I want to know, too, in the business or in the profession of architecture, what are the different areas that actually exist? And that question is to Mr. Raymond Emokpae. Is here. Mr. Raymond.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can see you and hear you. Good afternoon,
good morning. Good afternoon. My name is Raymond Emokpae. I'm an architect as well. Studied at Yaba Tech, or finished at Yaba Tech. And architecture is quite of, should I say, it's wide. Architecture is wide. So it has a different field. We have different field in architecture. There's the architecture that encompasses of everything. if you're about to study architecture, you have to know that architecture encompasses of both. There's a landscape architecture that has to do with the compound, the planning of the compound, the plants in the compound, the hardscape, where the cars will park and all that, the environment, the streets and all that, that's landscape architecture. Then there's also interior architecture. Those ones are that you plan the space, an interior space that has to do with your bedroom, your sitting room, an office space, a church space. But in the interior space, like the composition of everything that has to do from the furnitures to the type of ceiling to the finishes in the interior space, basically. And there's also those for me are, then there's also the exterior architecture as well. Those ones are that's the aspect that focuses on the exterior of a structure, a building, that has to do with the facade of how the building will look and all that. So, but still, in all, architecture is a body that encompasses of everything. So when you're studying architecture, you tend to break out probably in the future and say, okay, I want to focus on this this space or this angle. I want to just put my attention on landscaping or interiors or the whole architecture as a whole has to do from your planning of the building, the design of the building to the finishing of the building. So that's for architecture as a whole. But you can decide to focus on everything or a particular field. But still, it depends on. But when you're studying architecture, you have to study everything. And branching over to other fields, we have to be your personal decision in the long run or when you start practicing. So that's the branches of architecture or the field of architecture.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much for telling us on the branches of architecture. Please, before we continue, I can see that there's a Mr. Mr. Jedediah. Are you, if you're a student, please raise your hand. Mr. Jedediah.
Hello.
Yes. Good afternoon. Are you a student, sir, or ma?
Yeah, he's a student, but it's not where I am currently. He will come back soon.
Okay, no problem, ma. Thank you very much, ma.
Okay.
Okay, so just to round off the introduction, please, I want to please hear from Mr. Michael Okikiolu. I think he's also Mr. Michael. Sorry, sir, your mic is off.
Yes, good afternoon.
So please, good afternoon, sir. Just let us know what your profession is about, just briefly.
Okay. All right. My profession is all about construction. I mean, environment. Construction is about environment. They actually deal with the realization of working drawings and teamwork. The built environment is made up of several professionals. We have the architects, managers, the electrical engineers, the civil engineers, the mechanical engineers. We all work all together to achieve a construction processes. So construction is actually a capital-intensive line of work. So it's basically funded by private individuals and sometimes government individuals. Construction is all about development of infrastructures. It helps in developing infrastructures. Like most buildings that you see in the society are actually developed or constructed through construction workers or team of construction company. So construction helps so much in the economy. It provides shelters to individuals. It's a way of life. Construction is the basic, is one of the basic amenities or basic needs in society. Construction helps in providing buildings for shelter and construction of, there are several constructions too. We have construction in road, we have construction of tunnels, we have construction in buildings, construction of offices and churches. So construction is actually the realization of what the architect has done. We will bring it from the paper to the physical drawing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very, very much, sir. I'm very, very grateful. Thank you for all of your contributions and all that you said concerning the different professions relating to architecture and construction. So I'm going to be asking the questions randomly, but they're going to be centered at different areas, and it's not going to be the same question for everybody. So we're just going to be taking questions differently. The next question I want to ask is to Dr. Tenigbade. Tisma, what do you think are the, what subject do you think are very important for junior students and even senior students also that haven't graduated yet? What subjects do you think they should be taking very important, they should be considering very important for learning for now if they want to be going into the field of estate management, construction, architecture? You've already identified one to be geography, but then I believe there must be other ones, especially specifically for estate management and valuation and the likes.
Okay, thank you. So I think pretty much for courses in the built environment, or as they are called in many higher institutions, environmental studies or environmental technology, depending on the school, I think we pretty much have the same subject focus for a lot of those courses. So I'm saying, whether you want to do architecture, estate management, urban and regional. So these courses I'm calling out now, courses that you can do in the environmental studies. So we call, in Nigeria it's called environmental studies, but in most other places around the world they're called School of Built Environment also. So whether it's architecture, estate management, urban and regional planning, building technology, land surveying, and photogrammetry, quantity surveying, those are the courses that you find in the School of Environmental Studies. So I think basically the student has to be a science student to be able to get admission into these various courses. So definitely your mathematics and English, and these subjects are not irrelevant. It's when you start studying the courses that you find out that they're actually very relevant for the course. To do a lot of calculations. In estate management, you heard me talk about valuation. So there's a lot of like mathematics that we do in estate management. In architecture, in courses like quantity surveying, in courses like building technology, there's actually a lot of calculation that you do. So it's not irrelevant. So of course, English is basic. You must be able to communicate. And then, yeah, I think they usually ask for at least one science course. Physics is also as important for the built environment, for obvious reasons. Geography, economics, especially in estate management. If you're going to do estate management, you must have a knowledge of economics because real estate is a kind of investment. So all the economic variables are important to a real estate investor. So economics, a knowledge of economics is important for estate management. Geography, because we're dealing with environment, we're dealing with space, we're dealing with location. Geography is also as important. For architecture, I know that you must be good with technical drawing. I mean, that's the foundation anyway, as Moses said earlier. So you must be good with them, technical with your technical drawings. So yes, you must be science inclined, and you must have a good knowledge of those science subjects.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you very much, Ma. Before I move to the next question, I want to also ask the same question to Mr. Augustine Felix. What courses or what subjects for secondary school students should they take importance if they intend to go into this same profession, plumbing engineering, sir?
Just like she has said, English, mathematics, technical drawing, because there's no how. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I said English, mathematics, economics, technical drawing, that's the fourth. Sixes and further mathematics. English, mathematics, further math, technical drawing, further mathematics and economics. So those ones are okay for anyone interested in learning or going into plumbing engineering.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So basically, from what I've heard, for courses that are supposed to be taken as important, I can see that there's mathematics that is topping the charts. Both mathematics, further mathematics, I think it's very important that they take into consideration, making sure that they are very good with students, take into consideration that they are very good with mathematics. They learn mathematics to make sure they understand it and can use it wherever necessary. There's also very important to also know English, to be able to speak English rather, since they are going to be communicating with people, and I think that is the universal language, but that is the very generally accepted language. So it's very important to understand English and physics, economics, especially for those in estate management, plumbing engineering. Is specified that economics is important because you're going to be doing a lot of transactions. So you should know. I think practically everyone does transactions. So yeah, you have to pay very close attention to economics. And there's also a very important need for geography. So you should not just wave it away. You should try as much as possible to learn geography. And then CD, yes, for those in architecture, it's very important to know your technical drawings. I believe that is good. We're good with that. Let me see if Mr. Jedediah is available now. Is Mr. Jedediah around now? I doubt if he's available. So let's move over to London. My next question is to Mr. You mentioned NG as one of the as a route. I think as a route that you took, is an educational route you took. Immediately you were done with the different educational routes that students can take. Immediately they're done with secondary school education. From both specialized institutions, whatever form of education that you think students can actually take once they're done with post-secondary education. That is for Mr. James Moses. I don't know.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
So when it comes to different routes after your senior secondary school, it's very important to understand that there is an educational system in place. For example, when you're done with your secondary school, the next would be you prepare for JAM, and then after JAM you have to get enrolled into institution for that course you want to do. So in between that time, you could learn a trade. Now, learning something also, you also now still have to understand that this educational system that has put in place has demanded, needs you to pay attention to preparing for the exams that would qualify you. So you also need to give that time, make provisions for that time. It's very important. If not, you will just go way out of line, and then you still will not get that admission. But when you have successfully secured the admission, because that is going to be your priority at that moment before you start paying attention to learning other skills. So when you finally have that, get that admission, because it's actually not very easy to get admission in Nigeria. It's a lot of work and a lot of patience. So when you finally get admission, then you now have to understand. You could ask people, discuss, go on Google, learn about the different aspects of architecture and the different professions or different segments you would love to do. So when you understand that, then skills like welding, skills like
okay, I'm very sorry to cut you. Actually, I'm sorry for I'm asking specifically. I know there are also skills they would learn, but I want to know the different. I know there are options of university, and there are other options, and maybe professional institutions. Maybe for someone who cannot go to the university straight, maybe you cannot go to the university immediately, and might need to go to maybe another kind of institution. Are there actually institutions for architects if they are not going to have the opportunity of getting into the university as soon as possible? More like colleges of education and like.
Okay, as architecture is concerned and practiced in Nigeria, to be an architect by recognition and by the profession certified architect, there are different processes in place. If not through the higher institution, then you go through the polytechnic. For example, after your ND, you have to do your HND, and then you have to do your post degree or do direct entry to university, and all of them. You start writing your professional exams to be a certified architect. But in the process of getting certified as an architect, there is the options to also explore what you've been learning and your skills in architecture, because being an architect, being a registered architect is a long-term plan. It doesn't happen in 1 year, it doesn't happen in 2 years. That is why when you finish from a polytechnic or finish from a university, you don't just have architecture and the thing, what's the name now? You don't have architecture before your name. It comes after your name because it's known that you are yet to be certified. So for example, if I want to write my name down, I write Moses James in brackets architect because I'm yet to be certified. So being an architect, it's a long-term plan. So in the process of getting to that plan, then you have to then learn skills that would build your the aspect of architecture you want to explore. So it's personal to do a personal research after you understand there is a long-term plan. Do a personal research on the kind of architecture you want to do and start practicing, not by as a professional, but moving towards that architecture that you want to express. In due time, then you get certified, or how the industry is played, just play the game in the industry basically.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you. So one thing you said is that architecture is a long-term plan, and for that reason, you need to be very prepared for all that is required for you to gain and to gain. Thank you. So to learn and to gain rather. Thank you very much, sir, for that. I'm also going to be posing the question at Mr. Okikiolu Michael to also talk about probably other kinds of institutions that can be attended or can be visited or can be one can be admitted to gain the same skills in construction and the likes. Mr. Okikiolu, Mr. Michael Damilola.
Okay. Once again, thank you for having me here. So there are several ways to go into the construction line. We have the College of we have construction, building construction lessons, or there can also be there's what we call field test. As a construction person, our line of work is more of the physical part. We have to be physical. So there are a lot of experience can get through trade testing, or through trade tested platform. So from there you can learn more about construction processes, the way to handle which capital does, how to do that. About reinforcement also, you can also learn about that through in college of in technical colleges, and you can also learn electrical, plumbing, and a lot of things in technical college and trade tested certification institute that offers trade certification. That's basically how to go if there's a delay in getting to university or polytechnic through college of
okay, thank you. There was something you just said.
Okay.
You said, sorry, you said trade first test. I didn't get the last kind of schools you mentioned, the last kind of institution you mentioned. You said technical colleges, and you also mentioned another kind.
Yes, there are several
institutions.
Or there are several institutes that offers trade tests. Because
okay, trade tech. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Okay, so I'm quickly going to go and ask Mr. Raymond Emokpae. I hope I'm pronouncing your name, sir, properly. What are the kind of skills that can be learned? What other soft skills now? Maybe digital, maybe entrepreneurial. What skills can be learned? Please, very quickly, not more than 2 minutes. Just tell us some soft skills that can be learned as relates to architecture.
Okay, basically, like we all knew, architecture has to do with drawings, and not just drawings, but you have to have the skill of how to draw, like technical drawings, and even that of an artist as well. But also, there are also softwares we use, computer-aided softwares which we use to achieve our drawings. But those ones are not like the basic stuff to learn, because if you are good with them, it's like you having a pencil in your hand as well. So architecture is like a process that you just have to go through, not just with the skills, but it's just also with the process you have to go through. There are some basic understanding that if you don't know about architecture, you won't be able to use those skills. Even if you're using those skills, you might just be like an artist, but not an architect, because there's a bridge between being an artist and an architect. An artist can draw a beautiful house and all that, but an architect doesn't just draw a house, but rather how it functions and not just how it looks, but how it functions. And there are a lot of things that makes a building function well. Not just about what you see, but rather the ventilation, the lighting of the space, the orientation of the building, the sun direction, the wind direction, and all that. There are a lot of things in that you have to think about. But for the start, I think you have to just have a basic understanding, a knowledge of construction, which is part of architecture. And you can also acquire those skills from those people that are already practicing. Even if you don't have the opportunity to get probably you don't have you have not gotten an admission yet, you can learn from those that are practicing. An engineer, even if it's a construction engineer that you can learn from, you can follow the person to site. There, it makes you learn how the building environment really works. So when you get into school, eventually it becomes easy for you to understand the whole process and all that. And you can also learn from draftsmen as well. Because before I got admission, or when I did my formal IT, my father took me to this draftsman that taught me some basic skills, and I haven't learned how to do some basic drawings from him as well. So just going through the process of draftsmanship, you won't be able to be an architect. You will just be a draftsman, but you also learn the skills. It's the same thing that we do, but architecture is just more like an advanced draftsmanship. So for what I've listed is getting a basic knowledge of how the building works, learning from an engineer or a draftsman as well.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, so major things to take from what you just said now is it's important that we know or whoever wants to go into architecture knows how to draw, or he learns or he garners skills in drawing, he also should try as much as possible to gain internship, which is necessary, whether you are going to be visiting a craftsman, or you are going to be going to people involved in construction. You need internship. That gives you an edge. It allows you to work already, even without, you already understand the job even before you gain the formal education. So I think it's important for students, all the students who are here, to please pay attention to that. If you know an architect around, please try as much as possible.
Please, like I said, the drawing is just a skill that even if we have a lot of students or classmates that when we got into school, they don't even know how to use the pencil. Some people were pushed into architecture. So it doesn't have to be scared of, oh, I don't know how to draw, so I can't go into architecture. It has to do with the passion first. And when you get into architecture, there are skills, there are softwares, there's a way of drawing that you learn, that you can function. So mind you, it's not basically yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the correction. So you don't necessarily need to know how to draw to become an architect. You can always learn to draw. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, so because of our time, I'm going straight to Dr. Tenigbade again. I'm going to ask you, Ma, to please just very briefly, not more than 2 or 3 minutes, please, what exactly would you say are some benefits of your profession, and then what are challenges you've also faced with the profession? Just maybe 2 or 3 benefits or basic benefits that you think we should know about, so that anybody that wants to port from one profession to the other can start considering it.
Okay, so as an estate surveyor and valuer, my job, like I said earlier, is basically I do property valuation, I do property management, I do appraisals for clients. That's just a few. I also sometimes do project supervision. So let me just talk about what property valuation is. So property valuation is a way of quantifying the value or the worth of a building. And these valuations can be used for several purposes. One very popular purpose is for mortgage. So this means that maybe as I want to get a loan from a bank to construct a building or to buy a building, but then my loan has to be secured because the bank needs to have a collateral that they will hold on to in case I default on that loan. So they tell me to bring, I probably have a property that I want to use as collateral, but the bank wants to be sure that the worth of that property will cover the cost of the loan that you're going to collect. So my work as an estate surveyor and valuer is to go and do a professional assessment or a professional appraisal of that building and be able to present to the bank that, okay, this property is worth so much, for them to be able to take their decision whether they're going to give you that amount in loan. So that valuation can only be done by a professional estate surveyor and valuer. And to become an professional estate surveyor and valuer, you must have been registered with the institution and the registration board. We have a registration board for estate surveyors and valuers. You must have your own stamp and your seal. So that's one of the things I do. Secondly, let me talk about property management. Property management basically is you have a property and you probably have tenants in the property, but you don't want to be disturbed with, okay, it's time for rent, I want to collect rent, or the roof is bad, I want to fix the roof. So the property manager is the person that you hand over the property to, who is in charge of taking care of the property, just making sure that the property is run properly, and it's always in good condition. Rents are collected when they are due, they are remitted to the landlord when they are due, and so on and so forth. So those are basically 2 of the major things that an estate surveyor and valuer does. The challenges we have in our profession is one, there's a lot of outside intrusion from people that are not professionals. So among the profession, we call them quacks. They are not estate surveyors and valuers, but they do our job. So you see a lot of old men going around saying they are agents. Property agency is actually the work of an estate surveyor and valuer. So yes, so they come into the profession, they have their ways of doing things, but because they're not professionals, there's a lot of things they do that they're doing wrong. For instance, they tell you you want a property, you go to people and tell them, they tell you they have a property that they want to show you. But they tell you that before they take you to see the property, there's a form you have to fill, you have to pay one amount before they will take you. Professionally, we're not allowed to do that. You're taking a client for inspection, you just take a client for inspection. You're not supposed to take a fee before you take a client for inspection. So those are some of the challenges that we have. And then we also have the challenge of people thinking that why do I need to carry this of so much when I can get someone else to, for instance, the property management I talked about. Someone is actually thinking, I can just give it to, how we say caretaker. I can just give this property to a caretaker. But, there's also that problem of non-professionalism along the line. There are some things they need to do that are not professional. So those are some of the challenges that we have in the profession.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you so much. I hope we've paid attention to the challenges and benefits and the benefits of estate management and valuation. Before we continue, since we're already rounding off, I just want to hear from the students if there are any questions you want to ask, or there's anything you want to know that hasn't been spoken about. Please, can you raise your hand and ask now? Mr. Temi Kukudola, Mr. Teddy Guardiola, Mr. Oluwafemi Dada. We are waiting for you. You need to be sure that you are paying attention. So, Mr. Oluwafemi Dada. Okay, yeah, so please put on your mic if you have anything to say. Maybe you have a question or you have something to say based on all you've been listening to, everything you've been hearing.
My question is, in construction, because at times you can make a mistake. What if you make a mistake and you don't correct it on time and you now finish constructing the building and it's not how the person describes how the person wants the building? How will you correct it?
Okay, I guess that question is directed to me. Okay, when there's a situation like that, it's what we call project management. And this, we are professionals. Like I rightly said, construction is all about teamwork. There cannot be a mistake that will lead to such that you said, because there's project management there, there's an architect there, there's a site engineer there, there's an electrical engineer there, there's a mechanical engineer there. A lot of professionals are available on ground. And when there are mistakes, it can easily be corrected on time. If there's no how we will leave a mistake for long to have effects on the building or something. And as an engineer, we have to follow construction's drawing to the way it is. Like I said earlier, construction is all about actualization of what is on plan. We work according to plan, nothing else. Just according to plan, ensure it is according to plan, it is certified like it's supposed to be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are you satisfied with his response? That is to Oluwafemi. Okay, so I'm asking Mr. Temi Jokudola if you also have any question or anything you intend to say. Okay, I guess we'll just get back to you. All right, we have this time. We are about almost through. Okay, I also would like to ask Mr. Moses James what are the benefits of this profession, of this honorable profession, as the case would be. What are the benefits and what are possible challenges? Just 2 or 3 of both, or 2 or 3 benefits, 2 or 3 challenges just very quickly in at least 2 minutes.
Okay, so if we talk about benefits of like architecture as a profession, now it's to you as a person, it helps you to be problem, to be a solution, to be a solutionist, I must say. So it gives you the ability to check or look into different perspectives of things, because architecture helps you understand process. It helps you understand creation. It helps you understand management. It helps you understand relationships between different things, between the environment, between people. So personally, it helps you solve problems. It helps you think about solution anytime you hear the word problem. So it's why creatively you could have thousands of architectural solutions to one problem. It's why even in school, when you, for example, like 10 architects are given the same brief to design a 50-story building, when you see to solve the problem of maybe low housing or the low, let's say lack of housing and all, you see different creativity that you can to solve just one problem. So personally, it helps you to be a problem solver. Also, in an economy like Nigeria, a country like Nigeria, architecture, if well practiced to the biggest scale, it helps development. It helps beautify the environment. It helps people. It helps engagement. It helps community engagement. It helps. Architecture, it's difficult to be. You can't separate architecture and people way of life, because it's like a thin line between humans and then the environment. So the benefit of architecture is that it helps develop, a country to be beautiful. Some amazing cities in the world that you hear about, you really cannot overlook the architecture when it comes to landscape and structures. Also now, the things that challenges here in architecture, especially in Nigeria, is about Nigeria. There's always this, reservations when it comes to talking about our problem. So the challenges of architecture in Nigeria is that the profession is not broad enough to accommodate a lot of people because of the time it takes to be a professional architect. It's a challenge. It's a challenge that another challenge, I beg your pardon, is the fact that architecture has different aspects and expressions, but in this part of the world, in Nigeria, we've somehow streamlined, architecture to do building and a little bit of landscape. So it's why we don't, do a lot of other interesting things with architecture. So it's a major challenge in the industry. But personally, the challenge from architecture is, I would say, I'm not sure if there is any challenge to architecture when it comes to your personal life, because architecture is a blessing to humans. So I'm blessed to be in that.
Thank you very, very much, sir. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to ask Mr. Augustine Felix a different question now, because I happen to feel like, I don't know, are there many women in plumbing engineering? I would just like to know that, are there women who are endeavoring into plumbing engineering, or it's a man's, I don't know, it's a man's profession? I would just like to know that, are there a number of women also endeavoring to practice plumbing engineering, sir?
Oh, for like my 7 years of practice, I haven't seen any yet.
Wow.
Unlike the painting field. Unlike the painting field. So I haven't seen any yet.
Would that be because of the trouble? Would that be because of maybe the job requirements for women would that be a reason of maybe because there's a lot that is required of them to do, maybe physical involvements? I don't know. What exactly, why do you think women are not endeavoring into the profession? I'm just asking anyway. Just think it's necessary to know.
In as much as women are in electrical engineering, so I don't think physical strength should be a barrier in plumbing too. So I don't think that is the issue. Just personal decision.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. All right. So I think with this I will be asking for a very, very short word of advice you have for the young students who have decided that, oh, this is the profession I'm interested in, construction, architecture, and I don't know what exactly would you advise them to do? What exactly is that takeaway you're giving to them? And in line with that, you're going to be saying that within at least just 2 minutes. And also, in addition to that, you'll be at least helping us with the professional organization, the bodies that can belong to, the bodies that are available. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, you can. Yes.
Okay, so the two questions I'm asking basically is they're interested in architecture and construction, or estate management also, and estate management and valuation. And then secondly, what bodies are already available, national bodies, international organizations, that they can start considering that, oh, when I finally gain mastery of this profession, these are the bodies I can actually belong to, these are the associations I can join. Those are just my two questions to conclude this meeting. And I'll be starting with Dr. Mrs. Tenigbade Odu. Please, very briefly, we have less than 17 minutes.
Okay, so what I want to say is at the beginning of when I introduced myself, I said that I am an edge building expert. And what that means is that I belong to a body that certifies buildings environmentally sustainable. So what I want to drop here is that as much as you're thinking of joining the built environment, in whatever ramification, whether it's as an architect, quantity surveyor, a plumbing engineer, whatever it is, I'd also like you to bear in mind that one thing that the world is trying to combat now is climate change. So as we're talking about buildings, we're also talking about building them sustainably in a way that they don't have adverse effects on the environment. So in your curiosity or in your investigations, please, I'd like you to also consider bodies that are working with their various opportunities, and because it's something that is new, it's actually somewhere that has a lot of opportunities. So you can look at the World Green Building Council, you can look at the organization that I belong to, which is Edge Green Buildings, which is also financed by the World Bank. There are different things for young people to play your part, to have an impact, on environmental sustainability, that is building in such a way that you don't have an adverse effect on the environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. Okay, so the next person would be Mr. Felix Augustine. Do not have much time.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
So I'm advising them that no matter how, no matter what, they should be aware that you can never go poor. Plumbing engineering will always allow you to meet up with the SDG 1 of the United Nations. So that is the no poverty. And also, I want them to be aware that digital skill is very necessary in plumbing or in any skills. So you need a digital marketing skills. So there was a time I was given a project to control different aspects of both the styling, both the plumbing, both the bricklayer. As a project manager, I was given the privilege to supervise everything. So after gathering all the employers, the workers to work together, I couldn't get just Tyler in that vicinity. I searched online just in need of a Tyler. I couldn't get any because they didn't understand the benefits of digital. I'm not talking about digital marketing now. So far, so good. I've been able to train more than 1,000 people on digital marketing. So they, each and every one of you, if you are going into any skill, you have any skill, any profession, digital skill is a very necessary tool. It's like an oil that keeps you going in this life. Just like the 10 virgins in the Bible, the 5 virgins, the wise ones, the 5 wise virgins, and the 5 other ones that are not wise. So it was the oil that kept the other one to be able to meet the employer. Let me say employer, God. So it was the oil that keeps them going. When the rest were later complaining, those ones that have edge over the others were able to meet the groom. So that's it. That's it.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so to Mr. James Moses, please very quickly, what do you see as advice? And if there are any organizations you can advise, please specify.
Okay, I would at the moment I don't I don't function more as an architect in the company we started with friends that were working, because one thing I've learned and our advice is accelerated learning. Like, it's very important to keep learning, and not just learn, but also apply as you're learning, you're practicing. And if you understand the environment, like what Nigeria is at the moment, it's not that easy as a young, as a youth to, excel in professional industries. So you now have to pay attention to what to learn. You have to pay attention to what you want to learn and why you want to learn that thing that you want to learn, and also how to learn it. Because if all these decisions are very important, how you want to learn it and how to apply what to learn. When discussing with friends and advising, sometimes I would say, like, I'd rather go without food for a week than not to have internet and electricity, so I can spend all my money on data. Now, not because I'm watching, I can't even remember the internet, of YouTube, importance of other several important what do you call it now, platforms where you learn the skills from, where you get this information, where you get this knowledge. It's free of charge most times. So you learn skills with data. So the skills you learn in school, for example, the subjects you do in school, when you don't understand, if it seems difficult, it's just a phone away. All you need to do is get your phone, understand the purpose of YouTube and how to search for these things. They're all there. So like within a month, within a week, you'll be amazed at what you've learned. When you start applying them,
yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. Okay, very quickly to Mr. Raymond Emokpae. Just 1 minute, to tell us one extra thing, your own personal advice to young students interested in architecture. Please.
Okay, like I said, architecture is not just about the building environment. It's also encompasses, it's like a lifestyle too. So it has a lot of benefits, and one of the basic benefits is making money. Architecture, when you are good at what you do, you make money, and if you are very good, you'll be rich. But it doesn't have to worry about just the money entirely. It also has to worry about the value you are adding to the environment that you live in. Because architecture can be a type of lifestyle, there are different types of architecture. There are like a Greek architecture, Roman architecture, even traditional architecture as well. So there are also Nigerian architecture, which we have not done yet, because we don't have that stuff. Because we still tend to copy other countries in terms of in everything we do in Nigeria. So, but also there are a lot of challenges. There's something that they don't tell us before we get into architecture, which is architecture is not easy. Architecture is not a day job. and it's not easy. You will spend hours, thousands of hours working, sleepless nights. You can go without sleeping for days, for weeks. And every semester, if you get to school, every semester you get to do a project. Other departments might tend to do a final project at the end of when they are graduating. But for architecture, it's not like that. Other people have gone home, you still be in school. They will resume and they'll still meet you in school. So architecture is hours, work and research. And our system as Nigeria, our education system, there are a lot of things that we are not being taught in architecture. A lot of things you won't be told when you're in architecture. Basically, the kind of architecture we learn in school are still like the old ones. So there are a lot of, if you want to keep up to date, you have to keep learning. You have to keep learning. The internet is your friend. You have the phone in your hand and all that. So that's
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for that. And finally, Mr. Michael Damilola, please, just 1 minute, just 1 minute, just give us one word of advice to the young students.
Okay, in construction line, the advice I'll give is whatsoever your hand finds to do, try as much as possible to do it well and learn as much as you can. Learn everything, learn everything. That's just the way it is. Learn anything in a built environment. Read about real estate, read about construction, and read. That's just it. Thank you.
Very, very, very much. Is there anybody who would like to say anything among everyone that has joined us just now? Suzanne, Ade, Temi, Jokodola, Fatima Wahab, Bumi, Bodede. Is there anybody who has anything to say? Suzanne, Ade.
Sorry, I just joined in to observe what's going on.
Okay.
I'm just trying to catch in on what has been said or what is being said. Thank you. Good job.
Okay, so we've had, thank you very much, ma'am. Basically, we've had many professionals, I think 5 wonderful professionals from the field of architecture and construction together, and we've been able to learn a lot about the entire process of building. I would say, in my own words, the entire process of building, from the process of designing the building to the process of constructing the building, and finally to the process of managing, valuing, and selling the property. So I think we've learned a lot. One of the other things we've been able to pick from everything we've heard today is the fact that you need to enjoy the job. I think that's one thing they've specified, the fact that you can, it's not just about, I don't think it's just about the money alone. You also have to enjoy yourself doing the job. Secondly, for youths, for young students, especially those in secondary school, it's very important for you to pay attention to mathematics, English, geography, physics, economics, TD, further mathematics, everything. You just have to pay attention to these courses and make sure that you're doing very well with it. I've also been able to learn today that you don't exactly need to know how to draw. You don't need to love to draw, or know how to draw rather, to become an architect. You can actually just love the profession and then learn to do it very well. So if you don't if you don't know how to draw very well, don't worry. It's not a barrier for you when it comes to learning profession architecture. And I've also been able to see that we've been able to learn that, I'm just giving a summary now, that you will never be poor. I'm hearing that also from Mr. Felix Augustine. For the profession of plumbing, you will never be poor. So don't worry, whatever profession it is, God is going to help you, and you're not always going to have in all sufficiency. I believe there are some soft skills they've already identified that it's important to pay very close attention to digital media. There's a lot on the internet today that you can, and you don't necessarily need to wait for pay attention to digital skills. You can pay attention to the internet. You've specified YouTube as a very useful platform for you to gain wisdom, information, and anything for your course. You can also practice internship. Find someone who is doing the profession you would love to do, especially whether it's construction, estate management, and valuation, whether it's construction, and find someone and then mix with them. Tell them you want to work with them, and then you could even be one of the guests you happen to find yourself meeting. You can actually meet them and ask them, please, I want to work with you, sir. I want to work with you, ma. And you would be amazed at how much you'll be able to learn. Different from what you are learning while sitting, you'll be able to practice and find out a lot of things that were not even said today. In summary, I just want to say a very, very big thank you to every person, every one of the guest speakers today. You have done amazingly. We've learned so much. I think even I've only known about this from afar. I've not exactly paid much attention to it, but hearing it today, I can see exactly that there's a lot that has to do with construction. There's a lot that has to do with a structure that you just see and say, oh, I want to live here. I want to move in here. Yeah, this is where we go to. There's a lot that goes into it. And I want to say thank you so much for coming, Dr. Tenigbade, Mr. Moses Damilola, Mr. Moses James, I'm sorry, Mr. Michael Damilola, Mr. Raymond Emokpae, and Mr. Felix Augustine. God bless you. God would always bless you for all of the things that it is you've done for us today. Thank you so much. I am Aderinwale Grace Oluwaseun. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Have a wonderful day.
Yes, you can leave the breakout room. Just click on the leave and leave breakout rooms immediately. Thank you very much. You can go back to the main room. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very, very much. You're back from the breakout session, back into the main session. I'd like to thank our anchors of today, Jumoke Oyelese in the Business Administration Group and Grace Aderinwale in Architecture and Construction. I'd like to thank our speakers. In architecture and construction, we had the whole crew of JMoss Architecture. So we had Mr. James Moses. I couldn't really pronounce his name. Emokpae, and then Michael, and then of course in our business administration group we had my very own one and only Mr. Olaore. Thank you. Mr. Akiadeniro and Mr. Yosola Omishori. Thank you all so very much. Thank you for our young people and parents who joined today. I hope you've learned something. Can we all just say a thank you to our speakers and our anchors?
Thank you very
Unmute
much.
your mic
God
to
bless
say
you all.
thank you. Yes, thank you. And I'd like to thank
Thank you, ma'am.
our recorders in architecture and construction. We had Sheon Ajaguno recording, and in business business administration we had Elizabeth Jedo recording. So all the recordings will be uploaded onto our YouTube channels, and we can broadcast that further. Thank you, Dr. Tenigbade Odu. Thank you so much. And thank you, Mr. Felix Augustine, as well. Thank you, everyone, for coming. So once again, from the teenagers and parents, can we hear thank you from you?
Thank you. We appreciate you all.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you. So our next session will be at 3 o'clock. We'll be having education and training. Education and training. Thank you so much once again. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.